Hi, I'm Clark on Temptress. Today I'm going to talk about lead batteries. Let's talk about what they can do, what they shouldn't do, why you still want them around in this world of lithium. For this video, the guys at UPLUS sent me this Group 31 lead AGM battery. They asked me if I'd do a review, so this is going to be a review of this battery, but that's not really what it's going to be. We're going to talk about this as our example, so you know, it's fine lead battery. But what we're going to do is talk about lead in general, how the lead chemistry works, how to charge it, how it works with lithium in a modern world, how you can get the best possible electrical system using a little lead. Okay, well, let's just talk about this particular one first. UPLUS made this. They sent it to me. Like I said, it's a Group 31 battery, common size. This particular one is 105 amp hours. It can put out, I've got it here, 825 cold cranking amps, and that's like how much current you can put out at a very low temperature and have the voltage not drop below too low to start a vehicle. It's 1072 marine cranking amps. Same number, just a higher temperature. I mean, who wants to be driving their boat when it's 20 below zero, right? So this guy would start a vehicle just fine. They call this the, what do they call it? Marine RV. Sometimes they call them, starter and deep cycle. Basically boils down to it's got screw terminals and the clamp terminals. And you get a little cover, so if you don't want to use one or the other and keep them out of mischief, you can. Fine way to go. If it fits, fine battery. It's of the style of battery called an AGM. That stands for absorbed glass matte. There's basically 3 flavors of lead batteries. They're all the same electrochemistry. There's floodeds. Floodeds are seriously, like I joke, a cup of sulfuric acid with lead plates floating in it. And they're literally suspended from each other and kind of not floating, but they're submerged. Because of that, if you were to put this battery, if it was that style, in a vehicle and went over a really rough road, the weight of the lead alone is like a hammer and it can bend and deform because lead is soft and really heavy. So they modify the lead and make an alloy with something called antimony. And with the antimony in there, it makes it very much harder, so that's great. But it causes it to self-discharge, just how the chemistry works. Not super fast, but it makes it worse. If you have a flooded battery and you have it such that you can maintain it, open cells, it is arguably the most tough battery out there. As long as you keep the distilled water going in them, keep the water level where it's supposed to be, they are probably the hardest to actually destroy. If you don't get water to them, you've destroyed it. But short of that, if you don't mind maintenance, it is a way to go. The next type to come out was gels. And I never played with gels all that much myself. Gels are essentially the same thing, but instead of a liquid electrolyte, they have a paste, a gel, that I believe is cellulose and sulfuric acid. So it's not liquid, they didn't slosh. They have the ability to recombine any gases that were to separate back into water with a catalyst, so that's all good. So they can seal them. And then this. This is an absorbed glass mat. What it is inside, absorbed glass mat means exactly that. You take some glass mat, fiberglass without the resin, right? And you roll it up with 2 layers of lead and an insulator. So it's lead, glass mat, lead, insulator, and then you just roll it up. Now, because of that, it's really self-supporting. It's very strong, so it doesn't need that antimony, so it doesn't have the bad self-discharge problem. It has loads and loads and loads of surface area because, you know, it's a spiral. And that gives it a lot of the cranking amp stuff. And you can make trade-offs more appropriately towards deep cycle because you can actually have the mats, the lead layers be thicker. I probably don't want to get into all that, but generally if the plates are thick and there are a few of them, the battery is better at cycling. And if the plates are really thin and lots of them, it's better at starting, putting out lots of current. But the thin plate ones, if you cycle them down, there's a lot more damage that happens to them. So the AGM, in my view, is the best of all worlds. People will argue that the gels are the best of all worlds, and they can actually make a good case of it, but it's not every single point that they win on, and I just like the mix of AGMs. So AGMs are what I have. On Tempters, I have 1,500 amp hours of AGM batteries, which is absolutely ridiculous now that I have, 1,000 amp hours of lithium. But remember, that's from before I had the lithium. So, in short, why do I like AGMs? Well, they don't need the antimony to be strong. They're strong on their own, so they're good and self-supporting. Without the antimony, they don't self-discharge as quickly, so they have a longer shelf life. You charge them up, you might be able to come back a month later and still start your car, maybe not so much with a flooded. They're better at doing that multi-job thing where they can both be a starter battery and be used for a little bit of cycling. And they're simple, and I love that about lead batteries. I tell people, if you're out traveling down the intercoastal and you get hit by lightning, you call vessel assist on your cell phone, you're fine. It's going to cost you some money, but you'll get home. If you're cruising the world and you're in the San Blas and you get hit by lightning, and there's a better chance of getting hit by lightning in the San Blas, I'll tell you, it'll probably take out your lithium batteries. They have electronics in them, the BMS. Probably take out the BankManager. Again, electronics. It's going to be hit or miss which electronics survive. I have a whole video on lightning if you want to hear the long story about that. But this is a big cup of sulfuric acid with lead plates. It's almost definitely going to survive. Your starter is going to survive. Your diesel engine is going to run. Now you've got an engine. Hopefully your depth sounder still works. Hopefully your fridge still works. You can run all that off your lead. You might be starting your engine in the middle of the night to recharge it, but it's better than being stranded in the 18th century with a boat you probably don't even know how to navigate without all the help. So lead is important to have. And mixing lead with lithium, really gives you the best of all worlds. Use the link in the bottom if you need one. Buy this one. Seems good to me. I did check it out. It was at 12.8 volts when it arrived, which means they're shipping out nice fresh batteries. I charged it right up to spec, let it come back down, did some other testing with it. I'll get to some of that later, but it acted just like I'd expect a new battery to act. But it's not rocket science. It's lead plates in sulfuric acid. So let's talk about how to charge lead batteries. This is an AGM. The only real difference between this and the other lead batteries are maybe what voltage charged to. Go to the manufacturer for that. Honestly, it's not a hard science. It's quite flexible how far you go. Like I said before, these are tough. You abuse them, you might shorten their life by a small amount, but you're not going to kill them overnight. They're just so much tougher than lithium. So you're allowed to break the rules. But here's how you would charge them. You would set a power supply to a voltage. You would connect it to the battery. Why don't I do that? Always scares me. I'll bring this up to, now I want to leave it in the state it's in until later. I'm just going to talk about it. Set that to, let's say, 14.5, 14.4, and charge it, and then watch the amps. There's a concept called C rating. And C rating is just a way of having all batteries be the same. So this is a 100 amp hour battery. So if I charge it at 100 amps, I'd be charging at 1 C. If I charged it at 50 amps, 0.5 C. What you want to do is charge it until you get to that voltage. And then as the battery consumes more and more power and fills up, it's going to start blocking the current that can go into it. And you watch that right on this display. When it gets to 0.05 C, that is the appropriate time to stop charging. All is well. If you charged your lead batteries that way, they would last a bit longer. It's the right way to charge them. I haven't seen a charger that does that in a long time. I understand there's like 2 in the world right now. That's not how they're being charged. How they're being charged is that they are charged up to a voltage, held at that voltage for an amount of time, and then allowed to come down to this lower float voltage where they could just stay. What's the amount of time? That's the problem. If your batteries are fully charged before you start it, 1 second is longer than you need. If the batteries were very, very low state of charge when you turn on the system, you might literally need hours and hours for a big bank. So they just pick a number, or they make you pick a number, and that's what you do. I don't like it because I like to do things right, but you know what? Like I said, it's lead, it's tough, it'll survive. Now, if you were to use a BankManager, here's a BankManager, and you want to go with lithium and lead mix. This would be a fine battery to use as the lead requirement. I require lead simply because this device needs to be able to use this switch to turn off your lithium bank and bring it back in. And while the lithium is disconnected, your system needs some kind of battery to keep everything sane, particularly your charge controllers. So in this model, this would be a great battery for that. As long as your charge controllers won't go crazy high voltage when the lithium is pulled away, this is enough battery to mellow things out. And generally, starter batteries are really extra good at this. So how the BankManager would work is the power comes into this system, the switch closes, which brings the lithium right in parallel. Lithium being lithium will suck up the majority of the power. BankManager's watching it, watching it, watching it. When the lithium is exactly full, it disconnects it. Your system probably now can raise the voltage up to where lead wants to finish. It'll do the rest of the lead cycle. It'll come back down to float. All is well. If you turn on a load, the voltage will come down. BankManager brings the lithium back in. Again, all is well. This battery being a fairly thin plate battery, it's in the middle. So, let's just say it's a real starter battery. It's got huge CCA numbers, and it's only for starting. One thing about that battery is it doesn't like to be cycled down. Don't get very many. Never take lead in any form below 50%. But even just to pick a number, 50, 70 times down to 50% on a starter battery, it's probably gone, never to be used again. Where a true deep cycle battery with thick plates, that's more like 400 cycles before it starts to, age and not be good anymore. So if you're going to use a starter battery, and this could be your ship's starter battery as the lead requirement for a BankManager, the rule is don't cycle the lead. And it's a pretty easy rule because as long as you have lots of lithium, if you never bring the lithium down below 12.8 volts, you won't be touching the lead in any real way. So that's pretty easy to do because by the time lithium gets to 12.8, it's probably like only 10% left anyway. So just watch your batteries. It works great. There's ways to have multiple lead batteries, and I have videos on that. One last thing I want to talk about, and this might be the most important thing, probably should have talked about it up front, but when I refer people to this video to answer a certain question I get a lot, I'm going to do it now. This battery is brand new. It's in great shape. I'm going to now charge it to 13.2 volts. And right now it's taking a ½ amp, but you can see that number is coming down, down, down quite quickly. It's going to quiesce. It's going to get to a point where they balance out. This will still consume some power because it's just how it is, but it's going to be hopefully a very small number. This is the test you should run with your lead batteries if you're thinking about bringing lithium into the mix, because the lithium is going to do just what this is doing. It's going to put out power at around 13.2 volts. And it's going to always make that power available to whoever needs it. And as long as the lead says, I need it, it's going to get some. If your lead battery quiesces at 3 amps, that means all night your lithium is giving up 3 amps. That's probably more than you'd want to spend. It's probably time for new lead batteries. To give you an idea, my 1,500 amp hour lead pack on Temptress uses 0.3 of an amp. This one, it's still going down. I'll tell you, because I did the test earlier, once it settles in and stops, it'll be 0.07 amps. And that's kind of lost in the noise. You know, all night it's going to be doing that, and, you know, it's like an amp hour. It's just not enough to even count. The upside of spending that power is that this battery is going to be held at that slightly higher voltage, that once it's fully charged and held there, lead loves that. Like if you owned a sports car and you didn't use it all winter, you'd put one of those itty bitty little trickle chargers on it. Well, that's precisely what this does, just what the BankManager does with the lithium. Holds it at 13.2. So this battery in a lithium BankManager world will actually last a lot longer than it would if you just, well, put it on a shelf, but tremendously longer than it would if you actually used it alone. We usually feel pretty good if we get 5 years out of these guys, and it's going to be, well, if your beard is as gray as mine, it'll probably be the last battery you ever buy. I guess that's about it. A little short video on what I could think to talk about with lead. It's been the forgotten child on this channel, and I hope I covered enough to make this a useful, interesting video. Bye from Clark on Temptress.